know for sure if she could catch a ghost, but she felt better about her chances with Baz at her side. Not that she was going to tell him, of course. She'd been planning this the whole summer, requiring only 2 things to happen more or less simultaneously. First, her father had to go away for a few days, and then someone else had to do something stupid, like choke on a chicken bone or walk into oncoming traffic. On the 7th day of August, her father left the house with a change of clothes and a bag, Saul tied to his side like a little raft. 2 days later, their closest neighbor, old Riopelle, obliged with the stupidity. Some not-so-recent storm had stirred up the cemetery, made a mess of the place. Ludi didn't know which hurricane. Their names all sounded like big city dancers. Marble boxes lay scattered about, a giant's birthday party gone wrong, some spun spell that changed the presents and the guests to stone, even the angels. One looked down on her, calm, chill face, impossible to sex, its wings casting a sheltering shadow as though that might cool her. But Ludi didn't think that angels cared much about shade or heat or mosquitoes or any of those other things that bothered humans here on Earth. Papa had said as much. Her father hardly ever talked about angels, didn't talk about much really, but the old domino players had told her that Ori Sarrazin knew all there was to know about angels and devils and everything in between. Baz squirmed beside her, scratching an itch along his spine on the corner of a broken marker. His shoulder blades stuck out like he'd been starved, which was crazy because Baz ate like a big dog with worms. At this year's Cochon de Lait festival, Ludi had seen her brother eat 3 boudin sausages in the space of time it would take most people to wash their hands. Ludi was sure Baz wouldn't tell Mama about this, but that didn't mean he wouldn't scare the ghosts away and call her stupid and a baby. Older brothers, even goofy ones like Baz, were made of certain stuff. Baz didn't care at all that he couldn't see ghosts. The talent had skipped over him, which seemed to be a-okay by Baz, even if it gave Saul one more thing to lord over him. Everyone said that Saul was going to be traiteur after Papa when he got trained up enough, which left baby Ludi, and she saw everything, angels, devils, and ghosts, her father's daughter for all he noticed. In the bright noon sun of high summer, the ever-present swamp water stank like peanut oil shimmering in a hot pan just down from the cemetery across the road right by the house. Too hot, even for water moccasins, maybe too hot for ghosts. There weren't many ghosts in most graveyards because her father knew how to send the dead on the proper road home before it got to being about ghosts. But Papa had gone to the Atchafalaya Basin, would be gone for a week at least, he said. Papa didn't like leaving Mama alone at home for that long, but the fishing money was good and Saul was old enough to help this season. Mama had been angry. She'd started talking to herself. Ludi knew that Mama wasn't really talking to herself because her mother had a secret, didn't she? Mama hid it from Papa, and Saul hadn't noticed, and Baz couldn't see. But Mama had a pet ghost, and if she had one, then Ludi could have one too. In the bright washed-out noon sky, the same color as real lemonade, Ludi spotted old Robichaud's ghost, faint as a sinner's hope. The ghost sat across from the stone angel, feet dangling from its own resting place, skinny old man's ass perched on the edge of the new cinder block crypt. He died not 30 feet away on the highway. The ambulance had taken him to the morgue and then brought him back here. Waste of gas, Baz had said. Robichaud's ghost looked a little confused, but that was nothing new. He'd been plenty confused 2 days ago when he walked in front of a minivan going too fast on its way north. Death apparently hadn't made Robichaud any sharper, and Ludi was saddened for it. She'd been hoping that dying made you smarter. Mama always said it did. Beside her, Baz shifted, moved like he was going to bust out of his skin, start walking down the raised highway just away onto the next thing, not so much annoyed as bored. Baz, Ludi said under her breath, Baz. It was hard to get his attention when he had ants in his pants. bright green-blue eyes on her, unshorn, matted hair to his forehead with the heat, white vest clinging damply to him. He smelled of goat, a smile. Quoi? Long and slow, like he had a caramel melting in his mouth, sweet. Not bothered by his sister, not bothered by the heat, by summer vacation winding down into its last week, school so far away it might as well be happening in the next century. Sing me a song, she said, twisting a strand of hair around her finger, but keeping her eyes on the ghost, because he sure didn't know what those guys would do when he looked away. A song? Baz repeated, tilting his head, brows rising, teeth gleaming briefly. C'est trop chaud for singing. Ludi knew it was all show. Might as well tell a fish not to swim. Is not Baz. Okay, mademoiselle, je sais tout. He took a breath, one hand coming up, pinching his nose. He didn't look at her. His eyes were on the angel, Ludi realized. Baz never did a single thing quietly, but especially not music. Their mother might hear him from her kitchen window, even way over here across the road. But it was a happy sound, nothing to worry about, jaunty, an old song, one that Maman sometimes sang, which meant that it was from way up north in Canada, where she said it never got hot like this. Ludi knew all the words, about being Acadian, losing your home, being put on a ship, destination unknown. No time like now. Her father was gone, Baz was singing, and Robichaud's ghost happily swayed back and forth to the tune, waiting for a new owner like a dog at the pound. Ludi lay one hand on the ground, like she'd seen Papa do. She closed her eyes. A bead of sweat splattered on the back of her hand. Bringing a ghost in was the opposite of what Ori did. Her father sent them away, slid them off a leash with a gentle command. The old man's ghost came slowly to its feet, bones shaking beneath sloppy clothes, lines solidifying. To Ludi, Robichaud's ghost seemed like the man always had, creepy and addled, and she could see through it to the moss-shad cypress behind. The ghost's face drooped, and Ludi could see how the bones of the left side were broken, smashed across the hood of an out-of-state vehicle in a hurry to get to town. Robichaud smiled, and it was wrong. It occurred to Ludi that she should be scared. She hadn't liked the old man in life, and nothing had really changed about that. For a moment, Ludi thought she saw something else move beyond Robichaud, but it was only the wind picking up again, shifting moss in the trees. Then it wasn't. It was a shimmer, soft as milkweed silk, drifting in the breeze, there if you didn't look at it, gone if you did. It was another ghost. And now Ludi was scared, because Papa said only the newly dead and the angry dead stuck around, and Robichaud was the only recent death she knew of, which meant this ghost was the other kind, and she was only 7 years old, and that was far too little to deal with an angry ghost. They were